Let's turn you up a little bit. Get my beautiful face up in here. All right, boys. Whew. Today's going to be a good one. Hope you're all ready. Let's quickly throw something into the Discord. Live. Now. There we are. All right, good. Cool, we got some people in here already. Excellent. Let's give them all a few minutes to get in, get situated, and then we'll start. I'm pumped for today. Today's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, my microphone. Simba, move over, Bubby. Thank you. Let's get y'all. Get you raised. Oh, yeah. And adjusted. Oh, fantastic. Now, you guys know what time it is, right? You know what time it is? Everybody knows what time it is. It's the best time. So, welcome to Live with Jack. I'm Jack. And today, you're going to be learning a lot about dating in Korea and about things that you can do to improve your dating life and your success here in the land of the morning calm. That's only because everybody's hungover. But if you'd like to truly enjoy this experience, if you would like to reach the height of humanity, the culmination of all of civilization, all you need to do is grab your glass, your mug, or your flask, a chalice, a stein, or even a cask. Raise it high, let's make a splash. It's time now for our libation bash. Toast the night and enjoy the mood. Together now we drink some booze. On your mark, let's not wait. It's cheers with chaps, so don't be late. Oh. Go. Cheers. Ooh, that's good. Today I'm enjoying a nice fortified wine. I have a nice bottle of Madeira from my good friend Charlie, who brought that over the other day. So, cheers, JJ. I see you there. All right, let's go ahead and make you our main screen beautiful. Great. So let's go ahead and jump into today's lesson. Today we're going to be talking about your top 5 dating tips in Korea. So the very first thing that everybody always asks and everybody always worries about when they come to Korea is the language barrier. Do I need to be able to speak Korean? By the way, JJ, can you tell me real quick, is this the right way? Like, it's not backwards right now? I'll let you make the comment in there and I'll get started with this. So, dealing with the language barrier in Korea. This is a tricky one because you do need some Korean to be able to get around, to be able to do things. However, with dating, it's a little bit of a different story. The reason for this is because you don't really need any Korean. Okay, you say it works. Good, thank you. You don't need Korean to date women in Korea. In fact, at a certain point, it almost hurts you to speak Korean too well. I know that sounds counterintuitive. However, follow me here for a second. The first thing that you need to know is that a girl's ability to speak English with you is directly proportionate to how attracted to you she is. So if you're chatting up a girl and she's really into you, she will find a way to communicate with you. And it doesn't matter what the situation is. You might have to use, Google Translate or Papago, something like that, a Korean app. You might have to just use body language and laughing, but it doesn't matter because, like I said, if she's attracted to you, if she's into you, then she will find a way to communicate with you. This is proven especially true by a guy in our community who, a couple years back, he was always out and about in the area in Hongdae, and we're going to get to where in a little bit. But he was Russian, and he didn't speak English well at all, and he didn't speak any Korean, and it didn't matter one bit. It didn't stop him from being successful, from meeting lots of Korean women, from having good dates, and from having his version of success. So, if he can do it without even English, you can definitely do it with English. Most Koreans speak some level of English. Now, the younger generation is much better educated in English, and they all speak English better than the older ones. If you're coming out here and you're looking for like 60-year-old women, it's going to be very hard for you unless you speak Korean. However, if you're looking for the 20-somethings and the 30-somethings, you're in the clear. They almost certainly will speak English, especially if they're attracted to you. One of the biggest exceptions to this is the most high-end women. Because the highest end women, the really, really beautiful, super hot ones, they never had to learn English. They never had to learn anything to get by. They can get by on their looks, and they can demand whatever they want from their potential partners and suitors. If they want you to speak Korean, then you're going to have to speak Korean because, honestly, they set the price. And they know what they want, or at least what they're going to go for. So, for those highest end women, you are going to need to be able to speak Korean. Now, that said, anybody who's basically an 8 or lower, they're going to speak English at least decently well. And you can get by with just English. The great news is that 8's pretty good. And most of the women you meet out and about, especially if you're going to the right places, which I'm going to get to in a second, are going to already speak English at a high enough level that you're fine. There have only been a couple of instances where I dated a girl who didn't speak any English. And so that was a tough thing. That was tricky. However, most of the time, 90+% of the time, they speak English. Don't worry about the language barrier. There's your short answer. Now let's look at number 2, the best places to meet women in Korea. First off, the city, right? You want to be in Seoul. Honestly, this is where everything is happening. This is where the heart of the country is. It's where all the good parties happen. It's where most of the people are. You need to be in Seoul. Busan works, and Busan has some good spots to it. Busan is the second biggest city in Korea, and that's down south. Busan is good, but if we're being entirely honest, it's just nowhere near the level of fun, excitement, and energy that Seoul has. So, if you're in Korea and you're looking to actually be successful with dating, don't mess with any of the other cities. Don't mess with them. Your best chances by far are going to be in Seoul. Everything else is a far distant second place at best. You look at some of the other big cities, like I said, Busan or Daegu or Daejeon or something like that. Like, they're fine. They have some good places. You can be successful if you're there. Some of our guys in the community are out in the sticks a little bit. Like, I know we've got a guy down in, I think, Pohang and Ulsan, and we have one over in a really small place near Gangneung on the east side. And they struggle to be able to consistently find people and find success because there just aren't as many options. If you're in Seoul, if it's at all possible for you to be in Seoul or even near Seoul so that you can come into the city, especially on the weekends, that's so much better. Now, once you're in Seoul, it's a big city. Where the hell should I go? Okay, you have a couple of basic options that, like, these are the most common. This is going to be your Itaewon, your Hongdae, and Gangnam areas. And you guys, even if you're in a different country, you've heard of Gangnam because of that stupid fucking song. But Itaewon is generally the most foreigner-friendly place in Seoul. Everybody there speaks English. All the bartenders, all the staff, everybody speaks English in Itaewon. So if you're worried about the language barrier still, even though I told you you don't need to be, Itaewon is the safest and easiest place for you to go. It's very foreigner friendly, but the downside is that also means it's very foreigner heavy. So you're going to have a harder time meeting a lot of Korean women there. However, That said, the ones who do go there know exactly what they're going there for. They know exactly what they're looking for. This is where you're going to find the biggest concentration of foreigner lovers and alcoholics. Oftentimes, those two overlap, and they also overlap very often with the slut. So, if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for quick, easy, drunk, anonymous sex with somebody who loves the fact that you're from another country, Itaewon's your spot. Hongdae is my personal favorite area to hang out. And that's usually where we actually do all of our boot camps. That's where we do the in-person coaching. And that's oftentimes where the community meets to hang out. Hongdae is wonderful because it's got a whole lot of party areas. It's got a whole lot of bars, nightclubs, things to do, stuff like that. But also, it's at a university. Like the stop, Hongik Daehakyo, is Hongik University. Perfect. Excellent. One thing that you'll find is that almost every university area in Seoul has a really good party and nightlife scene. That sounds obvious when you say it because, of course, right? University kids want to party. But a lot of people don't even think about looking at some of the other universities. And there are great spots around Ganguk University in the southeast. So if you're near Jamshil area or something like that, Ganguk is a really good spot. There's a great party scene there. If you're further up north, Seongshin has a really good party area as well. I like that spot a lot. If you go further up, there's a pretty good party area in Nowon, and that's further up northeast. If you're down in the southwest or anywhere on the west side, honestly, you just go to Hongdae. Like there are other good spots, there are other good university areas, but you're close enough that Hongdae and Shinchon, which is right next to Hongdae, like that's the next stop over, and that's where Yonsei University is. So those are really good party spots. That is where I highly recommend if you want to go out and meet girls who are out partying, who are out drinking, who are out having a good time. Those are excellent spots. Next area is the Gangnam area. This one is a little bit of a misnomer because Gangnam Station, that area around it, actually really sucks. Like it's a nice area, it's a pretty area, but it's not good for partying. You actually go a little bit away from that to Apgujeong, and Apgujeong and Cheongdam area are very good for partying, especially Apgujeong Rodeo. That stop in that area. By the way, whenever I'm giving you different areas, we just go by the subway station. So that's what I'm telling you. Apgujeong Rodeo is the subway station. And that's also the easiest way to find it on a map because you'll always be able to figure out where you are in relation to it. Apgujeong Rodeo is a really good spot for nightlife. They have a lot of bars, a lot of clubs, very good, high quality women as well. That's a good place to meet them. However, it's also a bit pricier. It's a bit prettier. It's a bit pricier. Everything is a little bit more gilded. Everything is a little bit more showy. And so whether or not that's your style is up to you. However, that is a good spot. Now, choosing the right place for the right types of girls that you want to meet is important. So earlier I mentioned that Itaewon is great if you're looking for foreigner lovers or if you're looking for alcoholics, and especially where they overlap and become the slut. That's a really good spot for meeting them. Hongdae is a little bit of a younger crowd, a little bit of a younger audience there. That's mostly going to be your 20-somethings. And this is where you'll find a wide variety of different types. Of course, you're going to find your alcoholics and your sluts there as well, but it's not nearly as common as it is in Itaewon, or at least not as prevalent there. However, you'll find a lot of other types depending on what kind of place you go to. If you're going to nightclubs, that's where you're going to find your attention whores. That's where you're going to find your sluts. But if you go to the sleazier dive bars, that's where you're going to find more alcoholic types. If you're going to the more upscale lounge bars, maybe you'll find more worker bees or shy girls there. If you're going to they call them pochas. They're like little Korean style eat and drink, but it's not really food. It's not like meals. You just get finger food, snacks, and stuff like that to drink. That's where you're going to find pretty much every other Korean. So all of the other different types you're going to find in the different pochas. The pochas are great if you have a group and you already have your dynamic set. However, they are not good for meeting new people. The way that it's set up in there is each person is just at their own table. Each group is at their own table. And so it's really awkward in those places to go up and approach and try to meet people. Now, you can do it. I've done it before, but it has a much lower success rate than the more Western style pubs and bars that are already designed for people to be up, moving around, talking to each other, mingling, things like that. So your choice of venue and location is important in how successful you're going to be with meeting and dating women in Korea. Next, meet, contact, date. A quick how-to guide. So, how you meet the girls can vary wildly, right? Because maybe you're one of those guys who still uses the apps and the online stuff, which I really think that you're better off doing approaches, but doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Whatever the situation is, however you're meeting the girls, you need to almost instantly be getting them onto Kakao Talk. If you don't have Kakao Talk yet, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. Many Koreans also have something like Line or Telegram or Viber, not as much here, but every Korean, literally every single person here has Kakao Talk. That's your best way to get contact information. Now, the good news is Kakao Talk, free chatting app, right? Kind of annoying ads sometimes, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. The important thing is that it populates from your phone if you take their phone number, or you can also get their ID and you can add them in there without using the phone number. This is important because a lot of girls are hesitant to give out their phone numbers, but they'll give you their Kakao ID, or you can even use the QR code to snap their ID into your chat box, and then you guys can talk. So once you meet them, the first thing you need to do is you need to get their Kakao Talk ID. And this is important. You need to get theirs, not the other way around. If you give her your ID or you give her your number and you say, okay, yeah, message me later, 99% chance she's gone. She is absolutely not going to message you. That's not a thing that's going to happen. So you need to get her contact information and you message her. One of the things that you can do if she says something like, oh, I don't know my ID. This happens a lot. They'll say, I don't know my Kakao ID. Here, put yours in. You can do that as well. You can put your ID into her Kakao. However, once you do that, immediately send yourself something. Send yourself a message. Send yourself a little emoticon. What I always do is I go in there and push the emoticon button, and I just find the first one with like a heart on it or something like that. Something cute, something silly, something funny, lovey-dovey. Okay, great. Send that to myself. And now you have the chat open between the two of you, and it's already started off on kind of a funny foot. So absolutely meet them, get the contact information. Kakao Talk is absolutely your best. Phone numbers, it's the same. If you get their phone number, you'll still just message them on Kakao Talk. Don't call them with your phone number, and don't send them SMS messages, because those are almost always spam, both phone calls and SMS messages. So you don't want to be mixed in with that. You want to be in her Kakao Talk, because that's where she goes to talk to people, to chat with people. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, Papa Jack, she offered me her Instagram. Can I take that instead? No, you cannot. That is not the same thing, and it does not work the same way. If you take her Instagram, that's it. You're one of her Instagram followers, and that's how she's going to view you. You're not somebody she talks to. You're one of those followers. There are situations like travelers or something like that, somebody who isn't a local. Fine, Instagram may be the best way to contact them. Most of the time, 99% of the time though, that is not going to work in your favor. Instead, you want to get the Kakao Talk contact, either the ID or the phone number, either way. Anything else, any kind of social media contact whatsoever, is absolutely a worse option for you than getting the Kakao Talk. Next, you set up the date. This is the part where a lot of guys, they'll get through the first two parts, right? They'll be going up, they're approaching girls, they're meeting them, they get the Kakao Talk, and then they just chit chat. They just talk about stuff in messages. Why? Don't do that. You want to set up the date immediately. That's basically all that the texting should be until you get out on it. Email. Yeah, that's exactly right, JJ. Some guy out there is going to try to get her email. Jesus, right? No, you want to set up the date immediately. And that's the only thing that you're looking to do at first. You're not looking to chit chat. You're not sending her good morning messages. You're not sending her, I miss you. What are you doing? Are you having a good day? None of that crap. None of that crap. Save that for once you're married and you're bored, right? Instead, you want to be talking to her about setting up the date. So, figuring out the logistics of, oh, I know this new place, or there's this thing that we talked about during our conversation that we should go there Thursday. How about 8:00? Something like that. Great. You want to set up the date immediately. That's your only goal with the texting. So, again, meet, you get her contact, specifically her Kakao or phone number, and then you set up the date. No chit chat, no bullshit. Moving on. Number 4. Ooh, this one's a hard one. Your work, life, and game balance. Now, if you're over here traveling, then none of it matters, right? But if you're over here living here, if you're working here, then you need to figure out, how can I balance these things in a way so that I'm not showing up to work still drunk from the night before, but also I need to be going out to meet girls, to go on dates, right? Okay, cool. How can we balance all of that? Korea is a really interesting culture in that regard, because depending on your job, most of your coworkers may be drunk every single morning when they get in. Drinking is extremely common here, and being hungover or even still a little woozy boozy is, again, pretty common in the mornings. So you're not as concerned with the appearance there. Don't show up like clearly drunk. But the most important thing regarding the work stuff here in Korea is that you show up on time. They lose their mind about punctuality. So you just need to make sure that you're able to get in on time every day, no matter what. That's the most important consideration for your work side of things. Now, with our regular life, obviously you're going to need time to rest. You're going to need time to go out and meet people. You're going to need time to hang out with your boys, to hang out with the community, to hang out with Papa Jack, all that stuff. Well, how do I do all of that and balance in game? Because you need to be talking to girls pretty much every day, right? So how do you do that? Well, the best way to keep all of these in balance is to get used to approaching people and talking to people everywhere you go, so that it's not something you have to build in. It's not something extra that you need to do. Instead, when you're at the cafe, you're kind of flirting with the barista a little bit. You're having a chat. Maybe you're standing in line waiting. Okay, cool. You're talking with somebody else who's standing there waiting. Maybe you're on the subway. Cool. You're talking with somebody who's riding the subway as well. You should be talking to people everywhere you go. This has a lot of benefits to it, but the first is that you're just practicing more. So you're going to get more feedback more immediately and be able to improve your conversation, speaking skills, humor, all that stuff much quicker. However, it also has an added benefit of, you're basically always searching for prospects. You're always flirting. You're always talking to girls and meeting new girls without having to rely on those shitty apps that you guys still insist on using, despite the fact that it's a total waste of time compared to everything else. Dates and planning dates in a balanced way can be tricky once you start having a lot of success, because you might end up going on multiple dates a week, 4-5 different dates a week, and like, how do I balance this, the time, the money, the toll it takes on your body, things like that. That's going to be up to you personally to figure out what are my goals here and how am I best served in getting to those goals. However, you need to get to that point first. So don't worry about something that's way down the road. If you're not getting dates at all right now, don't worry about that bit. You need to be working more on the game part where you're talking with everybody everywhere you go all the time. You're always flirting. You're always shooting your shot. You're always chatting people up. You're flirting with the world, which, oh, I forgot about that course. We still need to make that, don't we? Okay. Anyway, you should be flirting with everyone everywhere you go all the time. Flirting is basically just talking, but with sexual intent. It's the same stuff. You should be talking the same way with everybody. You should be having that back and forth banter. You should be injecting your humor. You should be listening and finding the hooks as they speak and following up on those hooks and asking questions and generally being interesting, being fun to talk to. Because if you do that, then it helps you to make friends easily, which is great. But more importantly, it helps you to meet women, to meet and be able to date any type of woman because you have those social skills. You have that ability to flirt and be fun. And that is the most important thing that people look for. A lot of guys think that the most important thing is your looks or your car or your job or your social status or your muscles or your bank account or things like that. But it's not. It's your social skills. This is the most important thing for you to actually maximize your dating success is to maximize your social skills. The reason for this is because if your social skills are off, even if the rest of the stuff is on, she's going to see that as a massive red flag. Because here's the thing. She doesn't know if you're just an awkward guy or if you're an axe murderer. She has no way of knowing, but they both have the same social cues. They both present in the same way. So that kind of red flag, if your social skills are off, she's going to think, oh, maybe he's a murderer. I don't know. Something was just off about the guy. I got to get out of here. I want to run away. I don't want to talk to him. I don't want to date him. This is weird. Cool. Fix your social skills. Fix that. Now she wants to talk to you. Now she wants to give you her contact. Now she wants to go on the date with you. So you need to be working on your social skills everywhere you go all the time. Finally, number 5, taboos or not taboos? That is the question. I myself choose to partake. Cheers, boys. Oh, God, that's so good. Okay, so in Korea, drinking culture is everywhere. There are basically no liquor laws except just age restriction. Like you can't drink if you're in high school. But there are no laws about drinking in public. There are no laws about what time of day they can sell you alcohol or anything like that. It's a 24-hour free-for-all. It's the absolute Wild West out here when it comes to drinking. A lot of times what I've done and what a lot of people do is they'll just set up shop in front of one of the convenience stores because they put tables and chairs out there for you to set up and you can eat snacks or something, but also you can just drink. You can just buy your beers right in there and then drink them right in front of the shop and it's fine. In fact, they encourage you to do it because then you're just going to stay there and keep buying more drinks, right? So you can choose to drink or to not drink on dates. One of the things that you will run into in Korea is that the more traditional culture is that you match your drinks to the older person. And so the younger person just has to drink however much the older person is drinking. In most cases, you are going to be older than the girl you're dating. So she might feel pressured to drink more and more and more and more. I have made that mistake before when I didn't know about that. And I ended up with a girl who got way too drunk for her own good. And she ended up passing out at the table. That's not good. We do not want that. Yes, it's her own responsibility to take care of herself, to know her own limits, to drink within, reason. But you also need to keep an eye out on that as well. If you're drinking a lot and she is to check in every now and again, make sure that she's okay. One of the other things that you can do is choose to not drink or choose to drink minimally, like have a glass of wine at dinner where you're having a drink, but that's not usually something that turns into many drinks. Soju is a little bit more dangerous because here's a fun one for you. Soju bottles and beer bottles here are proportioned so that there's always an odd number of drinks in the bottle. So if you use the soju shot glasses and you pour them out, I think it's like 13 shots. And so if you're drinking with just 2 people, it encourages you to then buy a second bottle. And they do the same thing with the beer because they give you these little beer glasses that actually pour out to 3 beers from one bottle. And the reason for that is, like I said, so that you'll have to buy another one. And if you buy another one, then, well, okay, now we're getting messed up and our inhibitions are gone. So we're going to buy another one and we're going to keep drinking. Be careful with the soju because it sneaks up on you. You will not know how drunk you are as fast as it makes you drunk. It's a higher percentage alcohol than beer, about 3 times beer, which doesn't sound like much, but whenever you drink it, it's quick. It's a little shot. It goes down pretty smoothly, and then you get going. And after a while, you've had a couple bottles of soju, and you are messed up. So be very careful with that. I personally usually just stick to beer because it's cheaper. I know what it is, and I know exactly where my limits are with beer. I don't always heed those limits like I probably should, but I know how much beer I can handle. Soju depends on the day, right? It affects everybody differently. You're going to have to make your own personal decisions about the drinking or not drinking. And that also might be affected by what types of women you're trying to meet. Because if you're going for alcoholics, then you're going to be drinking together, right? But if you're going for prudes or shy girls or oftentimes even attention whores, they won't want to drink or they'll drink very minimally. Maybe you'll share a beer at dinner or something like that. So keep an eye out. Make sure that you aren't pushing somebody else to drink. Make sure that you aren't pushing her to drink, even accidentally, because of the cultural thing that I said earlier. But I personally choose to drink pretty much every time. Let's see. Imagine how you look to her when you offer her a water when she's drunk. Yes. Good, Crow. Exactly right. You offer her a water whenever she's drunk. A knight in shining armor moment. Yeah. And don't shy away from that. Don't be afraid to be nice, right? You give her water, right? If she's messed up, you can give her some water. That will help her sober up, help her calm down. And also it will point out to her that, like, hey, you're getting a bit fucked up. You need to slow down, calm it down a bit because we can't do anything if you're too drunk, right? So that is a good move. I do like the water move. That's a good one, Crow. Now, that is your top 5 dating tips for your dating life in South Korea. Now, it's time for the fun part where we go to the live Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, you can put them into the chat and I will answer them. And we're going to bring the kid in. But before we do that, I just want to let you guys know that if you're having trouble with any of this stuff, if you're in Korea or you're thinking about coming to Korea, maybe you're somewhere else in the world entirely, but you're having a hard time dating. The best thing that you can do for your dating life and for your success is to go over to realjacknorth.com right now. And you can sign up for a free one-on-one call with me where I will help you to create your own personalized dating strategy for exactly what you need to do, what kinds of girls you need to be looking for, how you're going to start meeting them, what you should be saying to them, how you can be talking to them. All of this stuff, I will help you to create personalized just for you over at realjacknorth.com. There's also a link in the description below this video, so you can click that and you don't even have to type anything. And if you've made it this far in the video, I'd appreciate it if you hit a like, subscribe, share this to anybody who you know who's in Korea and dating here, maybe somebody who's thinking about coming to Korea and you think that this message can help them. Now, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and bring the kid in. What's up, the kid? How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good. And I'm going to
Here we go.
move us. We're going to move over to the party spot. Move the whiteboard out of the way. And we're going to get set up down here in the party chair. All right. Good. That works. All right. So the kid, how have you been, buddy?
I'm doing good. Doing
Yeah.
good. 6 a.m., but feel pretty awake.
Yeah. I mean, 6 a.m. is early, but I do appreciate you being here and helping out. So let's jump straight into it.
Yeah.
What questions do we have?
Yeah. So we have one from the community chat.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, between short terms, I had 4 relationships in the last 2 years. Max length was 3 to 4 months each. Always we broke up because of me. I lose interest, both physical and emotional. So I'm getting colder and colder. And then we break up. I started thinking about it more since I broke up with my last GF a few days ago, which another community member saw when they were out in one of the cities in Korea.
Uh-huh.
So his question is, what should I do? Or ask myself, or how can I keep this interest for a longer period than just a few months?
You're dating girls and then you're losing interest in them and breaking up with them, right? Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, and on average, it's lasting like 3 to 4 months each.
Okay. So this might be a function of age, because if you're young, then you might just be trying a lot of different things, experimenting, seeing what you like, seeing what works for you, and that's pretty normal. But if it's not that, if you're not young and like still trying to figure your stuff out, then it's probably some serious incongruence. Like, you deep down you want a relationship, but you're hooking up with sluts from the club, and then you're losing interest in them because you're like, oh, why am I dating this slutty girl, right? This isn't fun. This isn't what I wanted. Or the other way around, where you want like a fun and exciting girl, but then you're dating the prudes from your language exchange or from your university classes or whatever else, and you're not matching who you actually want to date to who you are dating. It sounds to me like you're just taking whoever comes along, and then okay, yeah, I guess I'll just let them stick around until I get tired of their bullshit and send them packing. And that's the worst way to do this, because if you don't have a clear strategy, if you don't know what you're doing or what you're looking for, then that's how you end up getting into relationships that you don't actually want to be in, and then losing interest. It doesn't sound like you're losing interest. It sounds like you just weren't ever all that interested in the first place. You were just horny, which is fine. You can have hookups, you can do things like that if that's what you want to do. But if you're trying to create and build a relationship, are you looking for the right girls? Are you finding the right girls? Do you have the right filters in place? Do you have the right system built around not just meeting those girls, but attracting them in a way that is going to be conducive to you building and having a real relationship? If you're not doing any of these things and you're just hoping to luck into a good relationship, then that's why, right? That's the reason why you don't have a plan. By the way, the kid, can you click the comments to bring them up? Are you able to do that?
I don't think I'm an admin.
Okay.
I can read the comments.
Yeah, let me see if I can make you the host for this. Can I? Nope, I can just remove guests. Okay. Well, then we'll just have to do it from here. So The gaming shelf comments, I just moved to Korea and noticed a lot of girls wear earbuds and earphones. Any tips? Yeah. So, a couple of things. First of all, if they have earphones in, earbuds in, you first I'm going to explain the situation, and then next I'm going to explain what you can do about it. If they have earphones or earbuds in, probably they don't want to talk to anybody. So it's best to not waste your time and to just move on. I know this because I figured out a way years ago to get a girl to take out her earphones and to talk to me, but it never ended up in an actual great success. I may have taken her number, her contact, something like that, but then to actually get her out on the date, it never happened. So I recommend that you just skip it entirely. However, if you want to talk to her anyway, or maybe you just want to practice flirting, or maybe you just had to tell her something that came to your mind and you need to get it out, what you can do, and this has worked for me basically every time, is if you tap them like just one finger, just like on the shoulder, and then you do this, right? Like you do this with your hands and show her, take out your earbuds or take out your earphones. Every single time she will, because it would be really, really rude not to. Now there may be exceptions to this, like if you're in the gym or something, but that's a whole other thing. I'm assuming you mean walking on the street or on the subway or something like that. So that move will get her to take out her earphones. I still don't recommend doing it because it's just a waste unless you really feel like you need to. Crow says, could also be starting the relationship too quickly after meeting. 3 to 4 months is usually around the time to fully get to know a person. Yeah, that's possible. That's possible. Let's get you here. Waving to her when she notices you. And since you start talking, if she's okay with it, she'll take out her earphones. Yeah. I mean, like, if she's interested, she'll take out her earphones, right? Okay, good. Now, we've got one here. Oh, this is my buddy. I was just talking with him before the stream started. What's up, Mr. Terrible Godlike? Where do you take a girl you've just met, or any girl in general? Are there any karaoke rooms outside of the usual places like your hotel room, of course? Okay, cool. Yeah. If you're talking about like on an Insta date, so you guys have just met and you want to move somewhere else, do something else. Yes, there are karaoke rooms. That's something you can do. They're called norebang here, and you can find those everywhere. They're everywhere. You can change venue to another bar or to some place that has a lot of the bars will have games and things to do, like activities. So maybe you move from one bar where it's just drinking to one that has Jenga, or one that has like there's that little like alligator you push the tooth game and things like that, like bar games, right? Games are really, really useful for kind of building that push pull dynamic. So whether it's cooperative or it's competitive, those are both really useful for building a push pull dynamic. Another thing you can do is if there's a good looking arcade room nearby, those are very useful. There's one that I've been to with Crow a few times that actually has a bar inside of it, but it's a full on arcade. And so you can do things like you're not taking her to go play like House of the Dead or some, God, that's old as shit. Like you're not trying to play video games, right? You're trying to get her to go play like air hockey or like the basketball game or the crane games or something like that. You want something that's fairly low commitment. It doesn't require any learning. You don't want to have to explain things to her. You don't want actual video games because that just stinks of dork. And don't get me wrong, I love video games and I am a dork, but I wouldn't take a girl on a date to go play video games. That's not going to be your move. However, the arcades can work really well. I'm trying to think of some other things that you can do with a girl that you've just met. Now, I'm assuming that drinking is already happening, right? But if it's not, So maybe it's the daytime and you're day gaming a girl. You can go get a coffee. You can get ice cream. Everybody loves ice cream, man. And there's a Baskin Robbins on every street here. So yeah, you can take her to go get ice cream as well for a daytime date. Or you can just take her to the convenience store. And like I said earlier, y'all can set up shop at the table out front and just drink beer and talk and just shoot the shit and chat. There is always something to do and some place to go in Seoul, literally 24 hours a day. So there's always something to do and something fun to do. Uh, Crow says La Luz in Hongdae is fantastic for that. Yeah, that's the one that I've been to with you. Every time I've been there, though, I've always been so drunk that I don't remember the name. I don't even really remember where it is exactly, but it's fun. Sabi says, as for someone starting in game and just trying to meet new girls and practicing, is it okay to meet any type of girls and not go out only for my favorite types, but any kind? I met a girl and too much alcohol to her, actually just 1.5 liters of beer, and it made her super drunk. Yeah, okay. All right, cool. Let me address the question real quick. Right. So taking out different types of girls, like, yeah, you can, but in an ideal situation, you are building your system. So who you show to the world, how you package yourself, you're building that around attracting a type, maybe two, of girls. Because if you try to be attractive to everybody, then you're attractive to nobody. So what you should be doing, if you're doing it right, is you should be building your system in a way that is attractive specifically to a certain subset of girls, a certain type of girls. And that's going to be your bread and butter. That's who you actually want to meet, and that's who you want to be talking to. If you're out and you have your system built and all that stuff, you know who you're looking for. Let's say that you're looking for worker bees specifically, and then you meet and you start flirting with a really nice attention whore. You're like, oh, okay, cool. You don't have to say no and into the date because, oh well, she's not the right type. That's not what this is at all. But maybe she has overlap in some of the other stuff. So if you are building your system right and you are attracting her, maybe you're wrong about the type. Maybe you think she's a different type, but actually she's more of this thing than you first realized. I wouldn't worry too much about that. I wouldn't worry too much about getting into the details of only this type or only that type or anything else. However, one thing that you should be very clear about is from the beginning, you need to know what kind of relationship you're looking for. That's going to be way more important to you than choosing the right type or the wrong type or anything like that. Because if you're looking for hookups, then you should not be trying to get into relationships with girls, which sounds like that other guy from the community might be in a situation like that, where he's looking for hookups and then his one night stand turns into a 3-month stand. And you don't want that. Even if you're looking for relationships, then you shouldn't be talking to hookup girls, right? So that's going to be much more important to making sure that you get what you want and that you're happy with your results. All right. Next, you got, yeah, exactly, like right after drinking, a spot to slowly get dirty, get her into a dirty mood. Yeah. For that, godlike karaoke rooms work really well. Because you're close, you're in a private area. Another thing that you can do is there are room bars around Seoul, and those places are really cool. They're little private rooms that you can sit in and drink, and then you just order on the screen in there, and then somebody will bring over your drinks and your food and stuff like that. And so those private room bars are very good for that as well. The only downside to them is that they're set up as big tables with benches on either side. And so you can't really get around, and it's hard to sit together and to build any sort of physical escalation into that. However, the karaoke bars do allow you a lot more, or karaoke rooms allow you a lot more freedom with that. The arcades also are very good for being able to build that push pull as well as physical escalation. All right, the kid. What else do we have? Do we have some other stuff from the community or from you? Hey, Simba. Do you want to come here?
Let me check the community real quick.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything
Come on,
else.
buddy. Come here.
Yeah, I think that was about it.
Okay. Simba says hi. Okay, good. Simba got a haircut, so now he has his lion haircut, where we leave it long around the mane, but the rest of his body is shaved.
Oh yeah, I was thinking like, oh, he has a lot of fur for summer. That poor dog.
Yeah. We just cut his hair a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. Then anything else from you, or if you have any questions or clarifications here?
Yeah, I would say, I think we touched pretty holistically on all the different locations in Seoul, the different benefits, right?
Yeah.
A great how-to guide. So let's maybe cover a topic of like, let's say someone was planning a trip to Seoul, right? And they wanted a game when they're out there. Like, would be your recommendations, right? And let's go maybe, a trip where there's not a ton of financial restrictions. They're not rich, but they're not like trying to budget. And then maybe what would be your recommendation if someone was on a pretty tight budget, but they're trying to maximize it?
Okay. Recommendations are going to be basically the same for both of them, which is just you want to pick the area where you want to be, where you want to be meeting girls. So honestly, Hongdae, Apgujeong, so the Gangnam area, Itaewon is not really that good for a place to stay and for stuff other than just nightlife and bars. I would honestly say I would recommend going either Hongdae or Gangnam, especially Apgujeong, Cheongdam area. Now, the Gangnam area is going to be much more expensive. It's going to be much pricier to find a place to stay down there. In the Hongdae area and Shincheon as well, so one stop over where Yonsei is, those areas you can usually find a decent hotel if you've got cash, or you can find an Airbnb if you're on a budget, that are usually pretty good. When Rich was staying here before he ended up setting up shop in the Mercure, he was getting Airbnbs for like 2-3 months at a time, and it was only running him about like $60 a night or something like that. So it was actually fairly reasonable. And so if you're here for a week or 2 weeks or something, that's going to be a cheaper option than a hotel. However, the one thing that I would not recommend is I would not recommend the Goshi ones or the Goshi Tels, or hostels, guest houses, things like that, that are shared spaces. Those are only going to be okay if you are on a super tight budget. If you've just got no spare cash, then you can kind of get by with those. But it's going to be very hard to bring anyone back if you're trying to bring a girl back to your place. It's going to be very hard to have enough privacy for anything. It's going to be very difficult. I really would recommend at least springing for an Airbnb where you have your own place, your own apartment, or your own, usually not a building, right? You're not going to have a building, but at least an apartment, like some of the ones that Rich was in. The kid, were you here when we were having those parties at Rich's Airbnb?
No, I came after.
Okay.
I think you met me right when he left.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So that Airbnb that he had was like a basement apartment, and it was right next to Hongdae Station. So the location was perfect, and it was a private apartment. So he didn't have to deal with any shared spaces or any entry protocols or lockout times or anything like that. Those are going to be the most important things to look for. Is you want the location to be right, you want to be in the right place, you want your logistics to be good. So You know the area, right? And you might try some different bars to see what best matches your style, your personality, what types of girls you're trying to meet, things like that. But those are all walkable from any Airbnb in Hongdae or Shincheon. That's where I would say to set up. Find your home base there, find a place to stay. And then I would go out and start exploring the area. So if you're, again, in the example you gave, you're traveling to Korea, you should, this is going against all of my advice, right? But you should be using apps. If you're traveling, you should absolutely be using apps because you can set your location to be in Korea before you get here so that you start swiping on some of the girls here. Hopefully, if you're doing the apps right, if you're actually doing well on them, then you should be able to have dates set up like as soon as you land. And then once you're here and you have a couple of things already set up, you should be going out and talking to people and chatting with people everywhere you go all the time. You should be flirting with the wait staff at the restaurant that you're having lunch at. You should be flirting with the girl at the cafe. You should be flirting with the homeless people in the park, or like just everyone, and getting a better feel for how your game is going to fit into Korea and how it resonates with the people here, because every country is different, and so the general flirting culture is going to be different everywhere. You need to figure out which parts of your skill set translate over into Korean culture and dating and which parts do not. So I'd be out talking to people every single day. How long do we have here? A week? Two?
I would say 2 weeks.
Okay, 2 weeks. Awesome. Right. If you have 2 weeks here, ideally we're looking at like a Tuesday through a Tuesday, right? 2 weeks later, because what you don't want is you don't want to just have one weekend. So if you came on like Saturday and then you left on Friday 2 weeks later, then you only have one weekend, really, right? Because you'd miss Friday night, you land here Saturday, and you're dead, right? You're busted. Even if you go out, you're not going to be at full capacity. So I would say definitely try to have at least the 2 weekends here if you can at all manage that. I would say that you should be talking to everybody as much as possible. I would say use the community as well. You definitely want to use our Discord community to help you find places, find people to hang out with, find people to take you around town. You can sign up for a call with me where I can give you personalized advice to your style, what kind of dating you are planning on doing here. If you want to find the best parties in town, or if you just want to find the hottest women in town, or if you want to find where the raves happen or whatever else, I can help you with figuring all that stuff out. And the community is excellent for that as well, because we've got all different types of guys who are all different ages as well with different interests. And so I would say to use the Discord community. There's no reason not to sign up for a call with me to get this kind of personalized information. That's really what I would recommend. So location, pipelining, so using the apps, setting up dates as quickly and early as possible, talking to everybody you possibly can, flirting all the time, practicing your game, because even if it's Tuesday afternoon, fuck you, you need to be practicing your flirting. How else are you going to be able to do it on Saturday? And use the community and use Papa Jack. Use the tools you have at your disposal. Is there anything else? Like, did that cover it all?
Yeah, that was pretty good overall.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, good. So just like last week, we're ending right at about 59 minutes. And the YouTube algorithm really likes 1 hour plus content. So we're going to hang out and just shoot the shit for about the next 40 seconds or so. The kid, how are things going with you, man? What's going on?
But not much, just working out.
Just working all the time?
Yeah.
Working.
Yeah.
Me
pretty
too.
chill.
Actually, for you guys who are still watching with us, If you haven't yet set up your call with me, you need to do that now. Like, since we've started this live stream, 3 more calls have already been booked, and my schedule is almost totally filled to the brim right now. So if you haven't done it yet, you need to get over there, realjacknorth.com right now, and schedule your call, because there's not going to be time available for you to do it if you wait. And I mean, honestly, if the time fills up too much, we might have to start putting a paywall there to make those calls happen, because I just can't have all my time on that. So if you want to get your free call and your free personalized advice and dating strategy, sign up now. Not in 5 minutes, not tomorrow, but like right now. Go over there. There's a link in the description down below this video, or you can just go straight to realjacknorth.com. There's a button at the top of the page that says book your call now. That's how you sign up. It's very, very easy. So with all that said, I hope that you, lovely viewer, have signed up for your call. I also hope that you, lovely viewer, have hit the like button, have hit the subscribe button, and maybe even hit the share button to send this to somebody who you think could benefit from the message and the information in here. It really helps me, and it really helps the channel, and it really helps the community. So thank you so much for watching with us, for joining us, and for helping our channel to grow. And thank you, the kid, for getting up at 6 a.m. to join us here. I really do appreciate it, man. And with all that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. So until next time, boys, Papa Jack out.